Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're listening to Batman on Film.
I'm vengeance.
I have given a name to my pain.
The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham. I'm Batman.
Yeah, 34. All right. 4, 3. Welcome to the Social Hour, the BOF Social Hour, a Batman on Film podcast. This is episode number 134. I am the founder and host. I'm founder of Batman on Film and host of this Batman on Film podcast, I should say, Bill Ramey. And joining me today is senior BOF contributor Ryan Lauer. Hello,
I'm
Ryan.
really happy. I'm really happy for you that you have this little corner section of Batman on Film.
I would have nothing to do.
What else would you do?
Yeah, I would have nothing to do, with BOF if I wasn't allowed this little little corner, this little
You
show.
earned it.
So
You earned it. There you go.
I've earned it. I think so. I think I've earned it, right? So yeah.
Paid your dues, put in the work, all that.
So in the last podcast, not this podcast, the original Batman on Film podcast, Pete Vera, Boudin Pockets himself. Yeah, that guy. Try to get pulled Boudin out of his pockets, try to get it through security at Dallas Fort Worth International Airport. Yeah, back in March of 2022, damn near caused an international event.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what Pete does. That's what he does.
So so he and Justin Kowalski talked about David Goyer's recent comments. They did a podcast about a podcast, essentially. He was on Josh Horowitz's Happy, Sad, Confused podcast and said I knew just everything he said. I knew, and I think most of it should have been common knowledge. A lot of it had been on Batman on Film, or at least I talked about it on podcast. But
Pete even mentioned it too, and the nugget that I didn't know. And of course, this is so small, it didn't necessarily matter. But it was through Blade that's kind of what got Nolan's attention to go to Goyer.
Okay.
I thought that was cool. I didn't know that. Read that anywhere. But I mean, of course, the other stuff, it's in the extras even about Goyer even saying hey, this is what I do, and you can. And he left, and then Nolan reeled him back in and stuff. But I highly encourage. So I'm almost halfway through that podcast, listening to Pete and Justin talk, and it's a good conversation. And so I'd recommend also the actual podcast is a good listen too.
So they called me and you out. Have you got to that part?
I haven't. What'd they say?
Yeah, those son of a guns. They don't like the dashes in BatmanOnFilm.com, Batman-on-film.com, and wondered what the origin of that was. Why I use dashes instead of just BatmanOnFilm.com, and why in the hell have you never asked me that on as part of the Batman or the BOF Chronicles? So if you want to ask me that question, I will answer it right here today.
Well, I'd like to ask you a question. Why the hell do you keep Peter Vera around? He's just causing problems. He's trying to start drama.
He's full of shenanigans. I will say that.
Yeah.
He's full of shenanigans.
I like to call him a lot. I say that he is New Jersey's #1 Yenta. Because he loves to just cause some drama and then just make the phone calls, do the rounds, and say, "Well, did Did you hear? Did you see? And so, I mean, he's trouble. So a part of me doesn't want to ask you where the dashes came from, just to annoy the hell out of him.
Okay. All right.
But let's just say you wanted to say where the dashes came from.
Yeah.
If somebody did ask you, what would your response be?
Okay. I actually, at one time, you know, back when there was Jet D60's Batman 5 page, right? It wasn't part of, I didn't have my own host, and it was essentially, back in those days, you had like GeoCities and, you know, all Tripod and all of that, you know, that was, you could create your own website and it was hosted there. You know what okay. So it was, that's where that came from. So I think it was, you know, tripod.com/JetD60 or something like that. And then I started, as I got more educated in how all this website stuff works, I thought, yeah, I should probably, you know, I thought of like, I'm going to change it. I keep calling this Jet D60's Batman 5 page. I'm going to go with Batman on Film. So I came up with Batman on Film. And I did get, I was I was naive back then. Or I should say ignorant and uneducated when it comes to the website stuff. So I did get batmanonfilm.com, bought that domain. And this is probably at 99 before, you know, it didn't come Batman on Film until 2000. And I had the domain, and it's what's the word I want to use for it? Lapsed. My ownership lapsed, and someone hijacked it.
Ew.
And it became like a, I think I haven't, you know, typed in batmanonfilm.com and I don't know how long, but I think I did. And it like gives you security warning, you know, unsafe website, blah, blah, blah. I think it was like, you know, it would be like one of those websites. It's full, it gets you there and it's full of links and ads and all that stuff, right? There's a lot of those. So that's how Batman-on-film came to be, is that I had to go with the dashes in between the words to have Batman on Film. There you go.
There you go, Kowalski and Yenta Vera. Are you guys happy with that?
Yeah.
Man. And to think, I called them friends once.
So there you have it. There's the story of the dashes.
Yep.
There you go. And speaking of what brought it up was the latest Batman on Film, the original Batman on Film podcast. Do you have any thoughts about anything Goyer said that stood out to you?
No.
In the podcast?
I mean, no. In short, not really. I mean, it was good to hear. The Batman stuff was mostly rehashed, except for the little bit that I said. It makes me want to Google what happened with the third Blade movie, because of how he said, like, how basically of a rough time that one was.
Yeah.
A movie that many fans do not like. I enjoy it. I recognize its flaws, its many flaws, but I find it, I don't know, still kind of fun to watch and revisit. So, and then I haven't watched his show Foundation. Sometimes Apple TV plus programming can come off like, I don't think I'm smart enough to watch that show yet. And I think Foundation might be one of those where I'm like, okay, I've really got to have my smart pants and have a can of Dew with me so I can really keep up with what's going on this. But I mean, yeah,
I would say that no shocker that Chris Nolan will never do another Batman movie or superhero movie.
He said that
for
on
that matter.
Promotion for Oppenheimer. There's a French journalist, entertainment journalist. There's like a good 20-25 minute conversation with him, just those two in a studio. And then he did like a rapid fire question thing. And he said, will you ever do a superhero movie again? Nolan said, no. He didn't say. I mean, he said it in the Nolan way. My tone made it sound as if he had sass, but he didn't. He just said it in his way. It was like, no, that was the end of it. On to the next question, and then that's where he'd mentioned it'd be like a really high honor if they would allow him to direct a Bond movie. So it just feels like, oh, okay. I feel like a Bond movie is possible.
Okay. Do you consider James Bond a superhero?
No.
Okay. I think he straddles that line.
Sure.
Myself. Not a comic book suit, not a comic book, but
no, he's just I mean, I don't know any hardcore Bond enthusiast, so Javi will probably get me for this, but I'm like a pop culture icon, like a franchise and stuff like that. It's just I don't know.
I think you could make a case.
I don't include him in superhero.
You could make a case for or against, and I would agree with either one. I'm kind of in the middle.
Sure.
Is that fair?
Whoever owns the rights to him, I think you can start to put Batman, Spider-Man, and James Bond in the upper echelon of IP, like highly regarded, highly valuable IP, because they will continue on for decades.
Yes, I'm with you.
And there aren't a ton of characters that can do that.
Yeah, those three, I would say. Yeah, pretty much. Jake Gyllenhaal as Bruce Wayne, who is speaking of Bruce Wayne, we're going to get to that in a second. Goyer advocated for Jake Gyllenhaal over Christian Bale. That's nothing new. It's hard. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that, but it's hard to imagine the Dark Knight trilogy without Christian Bale.
And something that Yenta and Kowalski even talked about quickly was that there is footage of Gyllenhaal doing a screen test.
Yeah.
In a bat suit prior to Begins. And yeah, that would be something interesting to see. I wouldn't have been sold on it. Gyllenhaal at that time, I know there was also rumors of, because Tobey Maguire had back issues, so there were rumors of Gyllenhaal taking over Spider-Man.
Yeah, I remember that.
Also, at the time, because I think I had to go on, I hadn't seen Donnie Darko at that time, and then I'd seen The Day After Tomorrow, I think was around then, and it was just, he just seemed really young, and it wasn't until the Brokeback Mountain 2006 that I feel like he really grew as an actor and became like, this is a serious actor, and he really looked more matured and stuff. Whereas Bale at the time just seemed very much like, American Psycho. He didn't look like he's some young 27-year-old. He looked like a 30s adult, or so to speak. So interesting, I guess. But also, I'm with the casting game. I'm not ever good with that. Predicting someone, trying to imagine somebody else in a role, because I'm like, well, of course it's hard to imagine someone else in the role, because we had 3 movies of Christian Bale in that role. So it's hard to imagine. And then even for the Batman, when it was rumored that Reeves had apparently met with Gyllenhaal too, I think I'd have been more open and was more open to that than if I would have been back in 2004 him playing, because I know Gyllenhaal has a lot more on his resume now that has just shown that he's a really good actor.
Here's a little tidbit about that I heard that he talked to Gyllenhaal at the very, 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 very infinity beginnings of what would become the Batman, when there was, when they're kind of sort of possibly could have directed the Ben Affleck script, and also Ben Affleck may not have played Batman, so it would be kind of Jake Gyllenhaal replacing Ben Affleck. So, but I think that was just probably doing due diligence. But I would say Reeves from the beginning wanted to do his own thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
His own script, cast his own Batman, no ties to anything else, not to be weighted down by continuity. Real quick, anything I would say, I've been saying it for years that they wanted to do whose they is, Nolan and Goyer. The plan with Man of Steel was for it to be Superman's Batman Begins and spawn a Superman series, and wanted to do Man of Steel 2 instead of BBS, and the rest is infamous history. Nothing surprising there.
No, I mean,
obviously.
we've known that for like 10 years.
Yeah.
You know what? A month after Man of Steel came out, we kind of knew that. Yeah. So I don't know. That's just like retracing the same old stuff that we've kind of known.
And Nolan, when they asked him, they really wanted Nolan to kind of head up DC on film for Warner Brothers, kind of be the godfather that, like he did Man of Steel. And Chris was, his suggestion was, hey, make all the DC movies you want, make them great as you can. Don't worry about connecting, just make good damn movies. And they decided not to do that because they wanted their MCU. And again, the rest is history. And it is Chris.
Nolan's doing okay.
Yeah, he's doing fine.
He's doing okay.
He's doing just fine. Anyway, so
made a name for himself, that kid.
and I was actually, and he said at the Dark Knight premiere in New York, and I was there. I wasn't in the conversation, but the one of the head honcho at Warner Brothers was like, you got to do the Riddler in the next one, and you got to get Leo DiCaprio to play him. And Goyer was like, that's not the way we work.
Yeah. It's not how we do. Granted, I think if they would have gone that route, it'd have been good.
Yeah. I mean, he's a good actor.
That's not how they operate. So instead we got what we got.
Yeah, it's very, like I say, it's a very 90s, that era of Batman on film, and for just any type of these type of movies where who's going to be the villain, and then we'll create the story, which is BS. That's when I get asked questions about who you want to be the villain of the Batman Part 2, and I'm like,
crazy quote.
What's this? Yeah, that for sure. But then it's like, what's the story? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I've just defaulted with stuff like that, and I say Egghead. Duh.
Yeah.
If Matt Reeves doesn't do Egghead, then what are we even doing here?
Well, you know what? He was in that picture from back in 2019 that Matt Reeves took of the 60s props and costumes. And, Joker was in there, and the Penguin and Catwoman, and way in the back, who do we see? Egghead.
An excellent idea.
Yes.
The Batman Part 2.
Yes.
Scrambled eggs.
Well, like I said,
over easy, sunny side up. I don't know.
I certainly I just can't picture. I mean, I don't have no problem with Gyllenhaal, but Christian Bale, I mean, he's revered, and
I think he's doing okay these days too.
He's doing pretty good. Yeah,
there's a pattern here.
Yeah. So, one last thing I would mention before we get to the meat of this,
the meat and potatoes
of this, is that he was asked, did John Blake succeed Bruce Wayne? Did he, and Goyer says, yeah, for sure. And maybe I asked Chris Nolan that, which I did, about the endings, and it's like, and he gives me his stand. Well, if you want it, if you want that to be how it continues, that's fine. It's open for interpretation,
Mm-hmm.
And he would say that about the end of The Dark Knight and about Batman Begins as well. So, anyway,
it was like how Pete would phrase it, something along the lines of, "Yeah, I think John Blake died because he fell off a building his first night in the suit."
Hey, that's your interpretation.
Pete's story is very brief.
I would
ends horribly.
I would say that that is Nolan would say, well, if that's your interpretation, then it's valid. I'd leave things I leave it the way, I leave it for an open interpretation. And is that the story you write in your head?
Not cool. My story.
All right. Not my story either. There's a whole podcast. What should do a panel? What's your interpretation of what went on after?
What happens to Robin Blake? Just to really poke some of those people.
A bunch of bad fan fiction. That's what we would spawn out of that podcast. All right. Yeah. You know what I say? I'm a fan. I just fan. Let creatives create, right? So,
yeah.
All right. So, speaking of Bruce Wayne, I mentioned Christian Bale played Bruce Wayne in the Dark Knight trilogy. We're back with our favorites, our rank ems.
Yep.
And we're going to do our 5 favorite Bruce Waynes, not Batman.
Mm-hmm.
We can do Batman at some point.
Spoiler alert: Bruce Wayne's
Bruce
Batman.
Wayne. Yes. Okay. If I didn't. Yeah. God Almighty.
Do some editing.
My bad.
Got some post-production.
My bad. Yeah, Bruce Wayne is Batman. I'm sorry. All right. So there have been 7 live action Batman. We count West. We don't count the 2 serials. Adam West, Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, and currently Robert Pattinson is in the Cape and Cowl. But we're not worried about the Cape and Cowl. We're worried about who is out of the Cape and Cowl.
We're about the suit and tie. We're worried about the suit and tie.
Yes. And if you know how to put on a suit and tie, like Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne wasn't very good at that.
And and your socks. Because as we know, Bruce, he couldn't find his socks without Alfred.
Yes. So let's go with number 5. And as always, I'll let you go first.
Well, you're a gentleman. My number 5, and it's still a work in progress, is Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne.
Okay.
The amount of Bruce Wayne time in the Batman is relatively small, but it's all in service of the story and the story that Matt Reeves was telling. So I don't know that Pattinson had a lot. Like, he didn't have a ton with Bruce Wayne to do. He did, I know that there are moments. Let me rephrase. There are moments, obviously the meatiest is the hospital scene with Alfred. But I think in context with some other movies and stuff, we didn't have as much because it is about he's obsessed with being Batman. So we see him as Batman for 3/4 of the movie or something. And I do think that we're going to get a lot more of Pattinson as Bruce Wayne in the Batman Part 2. And then if there's a Part 3, probably even more. If this ends up being a trilogy or even more, I think this movie will be the one that has the least amount of Bruce Wayne Pattinson. Just with that, that's why I think he drops. I mean, he's at number 5 for me.
I would say that at some point he will develop the public Bruce Wayne persona.
And I think that there's a definite, when it's all said and done, there's a really likelihood. So Bill, in 10 years, let's revisit this conversation.
Yeah.
And he'll probably jump up in my opinion. I just think for what I have right now,
I would say, I would say though, the public Bruce Wayne persona in the Batman saga likely will be different than Bale's. What Bale's was, he was like this buffoon almost, especially first 2 movies. So, yeah. All right. So my number 5 is I've got to say it. Nostalgia. My Batman history, my personal Batman history, but it's Adam West from the '66 movie, and of course, known more for the classic Batman '60s series. I thought it was, he played it up as Bruce Wayne, as you would expect Bruce Wayne to be, especially during that era. He was definitely come off sort of a bit of a ladies' man. And I like Adam West as Bruce Wayne. So there you go. Thoughts?
100% pure West.
Yes. Yeah. So,
all right. Well, I mean, it makes sense. I'd have been very surprised if he, for some reason, wasn't on your list.
Yeah.
It surprises me a little that he's number 5, but
yeah, I mean, it's not just nostalgia in my history and the fact that he was my first Batman. I think he was really good as Bruce Wayne as well. You know, kind of a James Bondish vibe with him a bit.
Yeah, sure.
You know, so there you have it. That's number 5, Adam West.
Adam West.
And I'm sticking to it.
Dadgummit. Throw that in there.
All right.
I'm sticking to it, dadgummit. It's my list.
Number 4.
Number 4 for me is Affleck.
Okay.
More so from Batman vs Superman than the 2 cuts from Justice League.
Yes.
But then I really did like the conversation in The Flash as he's standing there next to his car talking to Barry Allen. Okay. You know, everything is as it is. I was impressed by his performance as Bruce Wayne after seeing BVS the first time, and was like, because in some people, you know, normal folk, I guess as we can call them, not so into this as we are.
Yeah.
You know, I heard some people telling me that, you know, they had him in high regards too, and maybe, you know, like maybe he could be like the best, blah blah blah. And I'm like, there's not enough for me to go on that. I know, hey, a performance as a character, you can like one and done it, and it counts. But for me, I needed more to solidify if he'd be higher on a ranking. But purely as Bruce Wayne, I did like Affleck's performance, and I thought that even though, I mean, I think of the Luther fundraiser scene in particular, and he did play, you know, a little bit of like those shoes, and then say pretty girl, bad habits, you know, stuff like that. It's like Bale's laid the groundwork of how to do that, but I think Affleck's was following it, but it was still different. It wasn't like, and he's trying way too hard to just do exactly as Bale did. And I like his conversations with Alfred, which I'd argue in any medium, Bruce and Alfred talks, that's when the Bruce Wayne is 100% Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
You name the movie. And that's when he's the most himself. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I default to the Batman versus Superman performance of Bruce Wayne more than the others, but there we go.
I will say that real quick, as someone who wanted Ben Affleck to play Batman and direct a Batman film,
check the receipts.
Check those receipts. I thought his performance in BVS was one of the best he's given as an actor, but that take on Bruce Wayne in that film just wasn't my thing. I did not like it very much. I don't mind Bruce Wayne being on the edge, but I mean, to be straight up asshole, and he's an asshole in that movie, you know?
Yeah.
That it just wasn't my thing. And I just, it kind of it just kind of affects everything else he's done afterwards as Bruce Wayne. And I will say, yes, I think his Bruce Wayne stuff in The Flash was really good. Maybe the most Bruce Wayne he's had a chance to be.
Yeah.
I didn't even mind his one scene as Batman. That was very, you know, Batmanish, but the costume.
Put more checks in the costume department.
Yeah, the costume kind of,
as we've covered,
But yeah, before. But yeah, so that's just my take on Affleck. So
I know, and
there you go.
And I know I don't expect you to follow up anything. Some of these rankings, if I do include something from that era, but again, check the receipts on Batman dash on dash film.
Yeah.
You never give me shit for it. It's like, all right, cool. Because that's how normal people communicate.
Exactly.
All right, moving on.
My number 4 is Val Kilmer from Batman Forever. I think his Bruce is underrated a lot. I think he had more to do with that character than Keaton did, especially with the struggle, between Batman and Bruce Wayne, and they played into his remorse for being too violent, prior to the events of Batman Forever. I like, he does do the public Bruce Wayne, he does it at Wayne Enterprises. He exchange with Edward Nygma. He does it. He gets to go to the circus and other things. So I like it. Then you see him with Chase, is a little different than what you see him in public. So yeah, I really like Val Kilmer as Batman, and I think I think he is unfairly somehow he's almost like what he's only because he played Batman in one film. He's kind of like the George Lazenby. I'm gonna butcher his name, Bond fans. Lazenby, who played Bond after Sean Connery in one film, and I think Sean Connery came back after that. So,
no,
all right. I don't have a Bond card, so you can't.
I don't either.
Lazenby, I believe, is if I'm pronouncing it. So I don't have a James Bond card, so no one can take that from me. But
there's a quote when Kilmer as Bruce in that movie. Always, I don't know why, it's read so well that to me of just how he says, I fell forever. Like, I don't know, something with that, like how he reads that in the visual with that, like as a kid, I was like, wow, sort of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm an apologist because I've never apologized and I've never thought ill of Batman Forever. I've always enjoyed that movie. We've talked about that tons of times on here, just you and me, even of Prime Ryan. That one was kind of made for me at the time it came out.
It was made for me.
It's made for you too. Yeah.
And I was then near 30 when it came out.
I feel like there's almost, to me, in watching it more now, I feel like he's restrained a little bit somehow. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a hashtagger release Schumacher cut or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm very curious if that movie ever got re-edited, what that would seem like. Cause then maybe I would see that Kilmer performance from, what do you want to say? The energy as Doc Holliday from Tombstone, the energy as Jim Morrison in The Doors. Like, obviously those are two totally different characters, and neither one of them would he have pulled from and done that for Forever. But I just feel there's a little bit of restraint, and I feel like, I bet he was like close, shaking up a pop bottle, and they were close to popping that cap, but didn't. Yeah. I think that's why it just held me back a little bit with him as Bruce Wayne, and that's totally over analyzing that only us nerds would do. But
even the Red Diary cut, which is what I call it.
Yeah.
The Schumacher cut, whatever you want to call it. 220, 221, whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah. How does that keep getting worked into these podcasts? But
it's magic.
It would even be
bitch.
Yeah. It would even be more brute. Essentially, it's all Bruce Wayne stuff.
Yeah.
It's all Bruce Wayne stuff. And I think there was more of Bruce Wayne's psyche and all of that with Batman Forever than maybe anything since up till the Batman.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
yeah, Val Kilmer.
Like I said, I just don't want to say anything. I don't like saying negative because it's just like, no, that one I feel like, oh, it's close. Almost made it. But he didn't. Spoiler alert. Yeah. He didn't make it.
Yeah. All right. Number 3.
Number 3 for me, Bill. This is why I was so quiet. Adam West as Bruce Wayne.
There you go. Yeah.
I think for the time period and what the show was going for, he absolutely fit it perfectly. Maybe there's more. I tried it, in thinking about this stuff. There's also a behind the scenes appreciation, because if he didn't work as Batman, then that show didn't work. And then you and I wouldn't be here talking Batman. Like, possibly character could have just been canceled. And then watching him and stuff too, I don't know. He's very entertaining to watch. I'm glad that, and I could understand how that role kind of pigeonholed him. But I'm glad he was able to get out of that and then embrace the role for what it was, as an actor and stuff, and what he, what it did for him and did for the character, did for TV, did for, you name it. But I think almost most importantly is if, Bruce Wayne, the performance has to fit. Like, that's just Bruce Wayne and Batman, almost equal parts, but I'd almost say more so Bruce Wayne. You've got to nail that, or it all kind of crumbles around it. And so he just fit. You think of the vibe of the show, and I think you just instantly think of, oh yeah, Adam West. Like, it starts with him as the vibe.
Yeah.
In the suit, yes, you'll think of him in the suit more so than out of the suit. I do any of these actors, but I think, like, I don't know, West, he's very, very good as Bruce Wayne.
Yes. Look, there's very, very little gap between my rankings.
Oh, yeah.
So, I just got to state that it's not like I have Adam West 5 and then he's 5 and then there's this huge gap to Val Kilmer at 4. No, I mean, they could all be one A, B, C, D, and E, or almost
all these rankings that we do basically are.
Yeah. Okay, Ryan. Before I give you my next fave Bruce Wayne on our ranking list, let's pause for just a moment for these words from our sponsors. My number 3 is Robert Pattinson.
Ooh, do tell.
From the Batman. I love the fact that I think there was so much to do with Bruce. He had so much to do with Bruce Wayne to work with, how stunted he is, development wise, personality wise. It's all Batman, this wall he's built up around him where he doesn't want to experience that kind of loss again. That's huge part of the film, but you mentioned the scene with him and Alfred at the hospital is fantastic. The scenes with him and Alfred in the Batcave are awesome, where he is, almost just condescending, to Alfred many times, like, you Wayne now, this
your father gave him to me, and quickly that
it
just drops.
Yeah. So, and I'm looking forward, there's a little bit of anticipation of what comes next. I'm looking forward to see, we see Batman. Well, we see both Batman and Bruce Wayne both have an epiphany.
Yeah.
In the film.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing how he expands that Bruce Wayne persona in the next films. So yeah, Pattinson. And I like the fact that it was different than what we expected. Some people were like upset that we didn't get the traditional Bruce Wayne, whatever that is, but you know what I mean? public Bruce Wayne. But that's one of the things about the Batman is so great. It's fresh.
Yeah,
it's fresh.
And then also, as much as what was in a lot of aspects of the Batman, as much as what was contained in that movie, that 2-hour, 45-minute movie, like there were breadcrumbs left afterward for us, to chew on, and then places to go for the second one.
Yeah.
And there's so much Bruce Wayne coming, I feel, which is why I definitely think, give me even another movie, and he could probably will honestly leap Affleck, and then very well could leap West after that, pending. I've seen a little bit more Bruce Wayne.
Sure. All right. Number two,
I feel like you and I might have some similar picks here. Number 2 is Michael Keaton. Many call him the GOAT. And I'm not going to ever argue with anybody if they think that he is the greatest. I think what I really like with Michael Keaton's approach to it is in Returns, his approach to wanting to, another movie that I know you love, that of his, for the character, and like even kind of saying a little bit less. And the approach is like, therefore what he does say packs a harder punch. And I do think, even like watching that movie now, I don't know, I think that's just where my mind goes, I think, a little bit. Obviously I think of 89 instantly when I think of Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne. And I love I said already, the Affleck thing of Bale setting laying the foundation, I guess, like Keaton did in subtle ways in 89 of the public persona Bruce Wayne. And then we do see, that's our introduction to him as Bruce Wayne. Cut to him in the cave, not a word said, but I don't know, like facial expression is part of acting. But it's like, oh, there's the real Bruce Wayne, even though he didn't say anything and he's just sitting there. But it's just like it's not like any actor can do that. And I know that's thinking really hard into it and stuff, but I think like Keaton, he does a lot with a lot, and then he does a lot with very little. And I think you get that in, all 3 movies where he's Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
Okay.
I agree with every bit of that.
All right. Bill, you're number 2.
I just might as well go to my number 2 because it is Michael Keaton is number 2 on my list.
All right.
I enjoy the awkward, quirky take of Bruce Wayne. Even when he's having the casino night fundraiser at his house, and he's still like, he's a little bit of an odd duck, right?
You said quirky, and I instantly think of Returns as he's trying to leave Selena, and he's talking to Alf, and he's, we got to see that. It's a big business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trying to come up with an excuse. And that always makes me laugh. Business.
And he doesn't, there is some difference between that. I guess the only time we see public Bruce Wayne for the most part is at the casino night at Wayne Manor.
Yeah.
And it is a little different than when we see him with Alfred. We see him in that great Batcave shot scene that you just mentioned, where he's looking at, the footage from the casino, the whole, and then in the exchange with, because I bought it in Japan, with Vicky Vale and Knox. So, and it also, again, I got to throw in nostalgia, just how big Batman 89 was back in 1989.
Yeah.
So,
look at that.
And my whole experience with that. So, yeah. And I even throw in, I enjoyed him. Not a big fan of Batman Returns, but I love Keaton in the movie as both Batman and Bruce Wayne. And I got to throw in the Flash as well. We do get to see Bruce Wayne, and I liked that. Now there is a little bit. No, this is just comic book nerd stuff. That Michael Keaton Batman we saw and Bruce Wayne, what we saw in the Flash, doesn't 100% lock him into that being the outcome, the ultimate outcome of that Bruce Wayne, that, the Burtonverse Bruce Wayne Batman's life, because of spaghetti threads and all of that stuff.
So the spaghetti and all that stuff that's there, but with the Flash, what stands out to me from him is his speech while Barry's sitting at the bat computer, and he does the whole you can go anywhere, travel to any universe, like that speech. I really liked, and I'm like, man, that's Keaton delivering. Like, that's good. He's good.
He is. It was
my first Batman, my first Bruce, I guess you could say. My first Batman and my first Bruce.
He is your West, which is my West. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You get what we have to do you do those like back in school, this is to that, is that is to, so yeah. West is to me what Keaton is to Ryan Lauer.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, Keaton, there's another whole show we could do at one point, is what is the story after Batman Returns? Oof. Where does he end up? Because I just give it
the comic books are telling it.
If you want to take it,
anyways,
as canon. If you want to take that as canon, fine. I'd say just a little snippet of that. Ultimately, for me, it's either some kind of Dark Knight Returns or Batman Beyond thing.
Yeah.
Ultimately. Yeah. Maybe not what happened in the Flash. So anyway, there's a little tease.
All right.
Number 1.
Unless one of us is going shocker with a Clooney, I think I know what your pick is. Mine, it's obviously Christian Bale. Do you want to make this a communal discussion?
Number 1 for me is Christian Bale.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
There you go.
I didn't know, Bill. All right. I don't know what you can say that you haven't said on Batman on film before. I'd just say copy paste it all, because to me he stands out so much with the public persona Bruce Wayne, because there is so much of it and done in an awkwardly comical way, in service of the story and this version of Batman and Bruce Wayne. And then, I mean, not dumping on any of the others, but Christian Bale might be the finest actor to play Bruce Wayne, like through and through actor.
Yeah.
I know that's debatable, and you can't say that somebody is wrong, right or wrong. Because
no, I would agree with that. But think of who's played Batman.
Yeah.
I mean, Pattinson is a true thespian actor. Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
Go watch Tombstone, The Doors, some of his other films. Top Gun. Michael Keaton is proven to be fantastic actor. And then Bale. I mean, those are 4 strong actors. And I would say right behind that would be Clooney. Clooney's done some really good stuff.
Yeah.
As an actor. Oh brother, where art thou is fantastic. He's really out of what is norm there. So
yep.
We've been lucky in that regard.
Yeah.
Actor wise with Batman.
And so that's why I know that carries weight for me to say that, because I do recognize that a lot of pressure goes into somebody being cast as Bruce Wayne, rightfully so, because so much rides on that performance.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they've had really good actors take on the role, I still think Christian Bale tops them all, because it's just, I don't know, it's so good with the public Bruce Wayne, private Bruce Wayne, Batman, like all in one. And I think he did it better than anybody else did.
We get to see, I like the fact we saw public Bruce Wayne, which he introduced in Batman Begins. We also see it in The Dark Knight several times. You know, even when he saves the Riddler, Coleman Reese, Mr. Reese, Mystery.
Mystery. Oh my gosh, Enigma! Yeah, Mystery Enigma! It's all connected.
When he saves him by pulling out, in front of the cop car and smashing his high-priced vehicle, and in Gordon, you okay there, Mr. Wayne? You think I should, what? Huh?
Hospital?
I say, I go to the hospital. He's oblivious,
It's a brave thing you did back there. What? Yeah. Trying to make the light?
Yeah.
That got a good response in my my viewings. People laughed at that. And it's played off so well and genuine too. It's not played for laughs when he does stuff like that. And it makes me laugh also at the end of Begins when Alfred hands him the paper and knows, but Bruce Wayne made the whatever pages, and he grabs it and he looks like a giddy little kid as he grabs it. He's like smiles, laughs as he looks to open it, because I don't know. That's an aspect that Bale brought to it, and so you could say by extension, so did Christopher Nolan, David Goyer, and Jonathan Nolan of the story they were telling. But it's fun and funny, and as that quick little moment shows too, of this facade of a public Bruce Wayne, and Bale's just like, he's performing it in the way of like, haha, funny, whatever. But I mean, then he says too of, like, I don't care about my name, and Alfred's great, delivery of it, but it's your father's name.
Yeah.
And it's all that's left of him and stuff. So then there's a balance too of like, okay, being this public persona, but also like you don't want to embarrass the Wayne name, but yet, you know what I mean? Of like, there's just good aspects of that brought to the front that is totally reliant on Bale's performance as Bruce Wayne.
He kind of
nails it.
He from Begins to The Dark Knight, he kind of that Bruce Wayne grows just a little bit. I mean, like in Begins, he's swimming in frickin' fountains at, hotels and restaurants and burning down his, drunken billionaire burns down mansion, that kind of thing. And that scene is great when he, takes the leg, tells, you sycophantic, blah, 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 get out, leave me in peace, goodbye.
It's also a tough watch.
It is.
As I got older, awkward comedy has made me squirm more. Yeah. So even that scene now, I'm like, oh, oof.
Yeah. But in The Dark Knight, he's become more of a, he still's got that, I'm a rich dude in Gotham and I have fun, but he's also contributing to Harvey Dent's campaign because those in that big fundraiser, Wayne Tower and that's obviously, it's public that Bruce Wayne is backing Harvey Dent and whatnot, because he wants to help Gotham,
it can be better said than how I'll say it, but it's almost like, no, he's a little full on rich, immature douchebag in Batman Begins, but in The Dark Knight, he's kind of like a mature douchebag.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it can be said a lot better than how I say it.
I mean, clearly, Harvey Dent thinks he's a douchebag.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
don't tell me it's Scott Wayne.
Yeah. Even their dinner is great.
Mm-hmm.
The whole exchange,
it's never talked about in just the quick exchange of like their back and forth when he says people or in Bruce says, I was born here. Is Wayne Manor within city limits? It's like that's Dent's nice little like dig at him, but then Bruce back, as our DA, you should figure out where your jurisdiction ends and begins.
Was it the Palisades? Is that where it is?
A good like back and forth, like boom, and then another one back, and it's like, well, this is good stuff.
Yeah.
And then it ends with Bruce throwing him a fundraiser.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh yeah, all's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Christian Bale. And I would gotta mention, we do see public Bruce Wayne once in Rises.
Yeah.
When he goes to the ball, masquerade ball. He's doing Batman things, but he's still, and the whole, he gets out of his car, and the paparazzi, that's Bruce Wayne. The cameras click. And he goes in there and ends up meeting with Selena, and that whole thing. It's just, we see a little dash of it there as well. So, and Christian Bale. And then how can you not be happy that Bruce Wayne got a happy ending? And that's in this story.
Yeah.
Yep. That ending still gets me, the whole thing. Let me ask you this. Speaking of Rises, when Gordon asked him, basically, I don't even know who you are, and we've done all this together. I'm just paraphrasing. Yeah. And when he's in the bat about to take the bomb, some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. But
I know those are tough days.
And Bruce tells him, essentially, you probably know the line. It's, he reminds, Rosin of when he was a kid.
Putting a coat over a young boy's shoulders to let him know that the world hasn't ended.
Yes, exactly. And you see Gordon's reaction, the bat takes off, and he says, Bruce Wayne.
Bugs people, I love it. Hits me every time.
Yes, I love it as well. I think, I
love it. Because to me, it's like, it's Gary Oldman's reading of it, but it's like, we're seeing this holy shit bomb dropped on Gordon, and we get it that quick, and it's like a second or two. I freaking love it. I can't imagine it not being there. So he just, whatever. I love the Bruce Wayne. Holy, well,
isn't the whole point that of Bruce Wayne, the one that Gordon would know, was that he would not even in the slightest ever consider him to be Batman.
Yeah.
Even Gordon.
The Jim Gordon.
Yeah.
Didn't know. And then, I'm glad you brought that up, because I've always wondered that when it bugs people. Hey, things bug people, whatever, no big deal. But I've heard it enough that I'm just kind of like, really, it totally works for me, and I love it.
Well, yeah, and Nolan does his classic, flashback. To me, and my interpretation has always been, that stuck out in Gordon's mind. He remembered that from, however long, what 30 years before, approximately, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Bruce is 40-ish at this time, and he was what, 10, 12, and he remembered, when Bruce saying that, or Batman saying that to Gordon, and you see the flashback, from Batman Begins with the jacket, and it's like Gordon, to me, is like, it's just all clicks. Yeah, and it's not. There may be a little bit of Bruce Wayne is Batman, which was what Bruce wanted, because you don't want, but also, yeah,
It's just like I think I don't know, and all this rests on Oldman too. Of like, if one of us are just hit with that, I don't know. Like I said, it's like 1 or 2 seconds, because then it goes to Batman, who gives him a nod. Yeah. And then the bat's up, and that music really like to pick up for the big finale. But there's just something like, I don't want to say, like almost like maybe his stomach drops. Like, I don't know, his heart sinks. I don't know, something of, and it's just like, yeah, that's pretty representative, I think, of any of us that have this huge revelation just thrown right at us that basically knocks us speechless, and all he can get out, Bruce Wayne.
It's like,
love it.
Well, I'll say that, I always say, don't write the movie. Don't write a movie in your head before you see it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the reason for that is people, they want, and their Batman fandom, they want to think that Gordon kind of knows Bruce Wayne is Batman, but just never says it, never says anything.
I'm sure that's fine too.
And that's fine. But that's not what they were going for.
This story, that's not what they had. And I'm okay with that.
And I'd be remiss, do you count Bruce Wayne being Bruce Wayne in the hospital room with Gordon in Dark Knight Rises, we were in this together, and then you were gone.
Yeah.
The Batman, maybe he doesn't exist anymore,
Yeah.
He must.
Because Dark Knight Rises is so influenced by Dark Knight Returns, I always think of like the conversation in Dark Knight Returns of Gordon and Bruce, of like, all those times, blah blah blah. I think of that like that's inserted somewhere in Rises. Yeah. Like somehow down the line, Bruce and Gordon meet up, and they have dinner, and they talk, they reminisce. And then Gordon has to inform him, there's this other guy that tried to play Batman, and he fell off the roof and died after his first night. There's Pete's story, and Gordon and Wayne meet.
Yeah. Again, Nolan would say, hey, there you go, whatever you want for it to happen after Rises. Yeah. So Christian Bale, yes, got to give it to that guy.
Yep.
Number one.
Absolutely.
Bruce Wayne. It'll be interesting to see how we rank them as Batman, if it will be different. You know what I'm saying?
I was trying to think. We did Bat Suits, right?
We did Bat Suits.
Okay. We didn't do Batman. Okay.
We haven't done Batman. So we will, because we've got like 127 ideas.
We better get to them.
Yeah.
The writer's strikes reached an agreement.
Yes, sir. So we're going to be hearing, we should probably be hearing some the Batman Part 2 and Penguin stuff soon.
Probably. But if it's casting, that probably still has to wait until the SAG strike meets a resolution, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but hey, this is step one, probably.
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
So
it's a matter of time now.
The Batman Part 2, scrambled eggs.
Yes. I do have to, I have to say, since this was about Bruce Wayne, the great Michael Uslan, you even said it on your podcast when he was your guest.
That's right.
That it's always about Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
It's about Bruce Wayne. Right?
Yep.
And so there you have it. We gave our rankings of our favorite
everything
Waynes on film.
Succeeds or fails based on Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
Sorry, but it does. If you don't care about Bruce Wayne, then you don't really care what happens with the movie or the TV show.
And I will, another thing, I learned from Mr. Yu that he talks about when he tells his story about when Burton wanted to cast Keaton, and Michael's like, oh my God, we were going to do and like everyone. And it was like,
Mr. Mom.
Yeah.
You'd think fans would know Mr. Mom, the guy from Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here we are.
And it was basically something I always say, aesthetics do not a Batman make.
Yeah.
Or Bruce Wayne.
The guy from Twilight.
Yeah. Dude, I'm still getting some of that, I still see that. Someone replied, I don't know where it was, somewhere a comment or something, still of like, I think I've been in one of these Rank-Ems, and it was like, Christian Bale or Ben Affleck, greater than skinny vampire sparkly dude. I'm like, come on. If that's all you got now,
if Twitter was around in 2003, that person probably would have said, Christian Bale, you mean the kid from Empire of the Sun? I hope he's grown up since then.
Yeah.
Something really stupid like that.
From Newsies.
Oh, from a role 15 years ago? Okay, yeah. Sure. That was a totally different kind of movie.
Or can you imagine it when Keaton got cast, if there was Twitter then?
Man. Yeah, I don't know. I don't need to give them attention, but it's still laughable to me that these fools still don't listen.
No. No,
whatever.
No. All right. Well, that'll do it for this edition of what do we call this? Batman on Film Rank Em. Batman on Film Rank Em. Ranking different various
social hour.
Yeah, well, it's a social hour, and it's just the Rank Em series. Batman on Film Rank Em, I guess. Whatever. So and we have
ranking Bruce Wayne. Like it's just really draw it out in the title. 7 U's, 5 A's.
Yeah. That made me lose. I laughed, made me lose my train of thought. So anyway, we got, like I said, 127 of these planned, and we've done a few already, and we got to get quick because it's writer strike. Now it's going to be over with. And
won't have time to do these.
Yeah, I'll talk about the Batman Part 2. All right. Anything you want to plug or mention?
Yes. BatmanOnFilm.com. Make sure there's a dash between each one of those words.
Make sure the damn dashes are in there.
Dadgummit. Let's see. Reviewing the Batman title each month, and then also the White Knight Presents Generation Joker. Issue number 5 came out last week. That review is also on Batman on Film, the penultimate issue. And then Bill also generously posts all of my episodes of my podcast, The Batman Book Club, on BOF. So go there or wherever you listen to podcasts, look up the Batman Book Club. My last episode was with the great Michael Uslan and Bill Jet Ramey. Jet D60 himself.
Oh, don't put me in the same
you were there.
Category.
You were on it.
As Mr.
You were on it. Both of you were guests on the show. I thought it was a great conversation. I don't go back and listen to myself talk, but I re-listened to that one to hear him to just spit great Batman knowledge.
You're no dick shoes.
Yeah. So that was, I don't know. That's a great episode to listen to. Talking Night of the Stalker, in which, let me tell you, friend of ours, Jay Yaws, he sent me a picture. He was in his comic shop. Remember, I told you that issue of Night of the Stalker was $140.
Yeah.
He found one $15.
Yeah.
In his shop, in a bag and board, looked in great condition and everything for $15. And I said, why 140 at mine then? I need to go look. Maybe it's signed or something, and I just missed it. And no, there's nothing about it that hints at anything different. And I'm like, what is the catch here? Because, Jay's no noob to this thing. He's like, no, it's the issue. It's the actual issue. It's $15. I don't know. But then I don't know if I need to get it either, because I don't know. Just put it
I saw some on eBay that were around the same price
of 15.
Yeah, around there.
140. Okay. Yeah. No, I don't know.
I haven't seen any of them are like $150.
Yeah. I don't know why. I should just flat out ask. Like, hey, what's your problem? Why? You can see. I'll buy that from you if you drop the price drastically. I'm getting off topic. Anyways, last episode, check that out. The next one is going to be the monthly wrap up with old Boudin Pockets. And that, I've got a bone to pick with him. So that might be like 45 minutes of us bashing each other in 15 on Batman comics, but it'll be worth
okay.
it. So there you go. All right, I'll hush.
Yeah, I will second that. Even though it's on Batman on Film, but it's your personal podcast, your own podcast. That one with Michael was really good on that one. I got a lot of feedback. People like, that was awesome, you know.
And as I told him, and I tried to say it without, because sometimes my wording of things I don't think is very well, and wanted to tell him, listen, I love your Batman story, the 10-year journey and everything. I could listen to you tell it all day, every day. But what if we turn to your comic book knowledge and get to hear some great Professor Uslan hold a course on Batman comics? And so I'm really glad that worked out, because I did. The biggest revelations that I didn't connect Night of the Stalker at the beginning of '89.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't
either.
Oh, hey, I thought,
you know what? Go ahead and take it out and surrender your Batman card right now.
Yeah, and then he says that, and I'm like, holy shit, really? Oh my! All this time, I didn't even think about that. Wow,
it was great. It was great. Yeah, check that out. It's on Batman on Film, or of course wherever you get your podcast.
Yeah, but let's drive him to Batman on Film.
Yeah. Besides that, just go to batman-on-film.com. Everything's there. Everything's there. And I'm getting excited because we'll be getting back to our wheelhouse here. Because we'll have the Batman Part 2 coming up soon, and definitely the Penguin will go back into production.
Yeah.
And we'll be covering both of those. And that's it for us. Me and Ryan. I'm Bill. Announcer Rachel will finish up here. Catch you next time.
You have been listening to the BOF Social Hour, Jet's official podcast on Batman on Film. Follow BOF on Threads at The Batman on Film. Follow BOF on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Batman on Film. To help keep BOF up and running, go to patreon.com/BatmanOnFilm, or you can buy BOF a beer at buymeacoffee.com/TheRealBatmanOnFilm. For Jet and everyone at BOF, I'm announcer Rachel. Authoritative, definitive, the original, Batman on Film, founded in 1998.
Say goodbye, Graceland.